I want to talk to you about mistakes, or at least regrets. What kind of mistakes and regrets? The kind that involve watches, of course. Watches that I don't have anymore, and I wish I had back. I've not been collecting watches that long. Like a whole lot of you, it's really only been a couple of years, maybe 3, since the whole COVID thing started, if I can say that word. Sure, I've had a love for nice watches since the late 70s when I got my first real watch from my late grandfather. I remember that it had a roundish gold case, gold hands, and I told my friends that since it came from my grandpa's sample, it was probably gold plated. Wouldn't it be great to have that watch now? I have no idea what happened to it. I don't know if it'd be worth anything today or not either. I don't know what happened to most of the other watches I've ever owned, at least not until I met my wife in 1992. It was only then that I started keeping track of my watches, especially the ones that she bought for me. But today, I'm going to share with you the top 6 watches that got away. The ones either I sold or traded, or I wish I had just kept. Do you have any lost loves like that? Well, we'll talk about it in a second. But for me, let's start with number 6. Number 6 is the Seiko SNK 621K1. 37 millimeter case, 11 millimeter thick watch with a hardlex crystal, 30 millimeters of water resistance, and a fold over clasp. Beautiful dolphin hands, a gray dial, and an unusual, classy to me, day and date function. You see, I thought it was probably a little too small for me after I started seeing newer, bigger watches come around. But now I wish I had it back because even though it was a Seiko 5, it was still a beautiful watch. Next on the list is number 5, the Vosstok Commandersky K34 auto wind with a 24-hour hand. This thing sold for $233 on Maranom.com, and I traded it for another Vosstok, all because I did not have the cash to buy one outright, and the one that I got cost a lot less. This watch had a 31 jewel movement, a 42 millimeter stainless steel case, and even a movable 24-hour internal bezel. It had a water resistant rating of up to 100 meters. 2 things that make me sad are that you can't get this watch anymore, from the source at least, and unlike a lot of models, this Vosstok is not just tough, but well finished and good looking with an unusual combination of complications. It's just one that I should not have let go. Number 4 on my countdown of the most missed watches is a Spinnaker Hunley in this greenish blue color. Spinnaker is a brand out of Hong Kong. They offer watches with designs that reflect vintage brands like Mont Blanc and Blanc Pond 50 Fathoms, like the Fleuss. Their watches are also a little more chunky than others. However, where the Spinnaker Fleuss that I have is, it's quite a looker. The Dumas is more of an actual tool watch. It's also a little smaller than the other Spinnakers, coming in at 41.5 millimeters. I traded this watch off, and I have regretted it ever since. For a while, the owner tried to sell it on a Facebook forum, but had no success. And I tried to get it back, but I never had enough cash when I needed it, and the guy just didn't want to trade again. Counting down to number 1 on my top 6 watches I wish I still had. Number 3, one that I kick myself every time I see an old photo of this watch. My Zelos, however you want to pronounce it, Swordfish TI with a black dial. I have to admit, I was an idiot for getting rid of this one. I can't even remember if I traded it, sold it, auctioned it, or what. Oh wait, I sold it in a deal with another YouTuber, Josh. It was about a deal on a Hamilton Khaki King, I believe, and I still have that watch, thank goodness. You know, Zelos makes great watches. I have another one, a black tip, that I'm never going to let go. But this one, made of titanium, had a sapphire crystal, a ceramic bezel, and a sandwiched black dial, textured dial. It was number 102 of only 200 made. Number 2 may surprise you because it's a Casio. But not all older Casio watches are easy to get in pristine condition these days. The one that I want back that I should have never sold is a Casio Super illuminator. One watch that you didn't even need lume. You know, there have been times when a good friend of mine wanted to act more mature than he was. He had this idea that since he was getting older, there was no need for toys, especially dolls and plastic army men. So what did he do? He gave it all away. He gave away his entire complete collection of G.I. Joe action figures and every accessory that came with them, period. And it wasn't just a box of plastic army men that he gave away. No, it was an impossible to find Guns of Navarone set with both American and German soldiers. To beat all, he didn't even offer them to me. So one day, I felt like I needed to downsize. I thought I needed to downsize my collection, that is. And when I thought about it, what should go first but the cheap stuff, right? Well, I keep a Casio. Needless to say, I was an idiot. And now we come to the number 1 spot. Before we look at that one, understand that there are a lot of other watches I could have told you about, but the list would have been much longer, and so would the video. I can think of a 1957 Timex Marlin, a Swiss-made Invicta tank, and a 1974 Timex Marlin spaceship case. But the top 6 were enough for today. Now, drum roll please. The number 1 watch I wish I had never sold. I should have held on to it. It was a Timex T3B 801 300 series from 2009. Guys, this watch is the very one I should have held on to forever. I really can't believe I let this one go. If I ever have the money and the opportunity, I will get another one of these. So what was it? Well, before the Timex and Telequartz, TX was an independent subsidiary of Timex. And they had invented the technology and encased it in designs from Italy built in Germany. The name TX, well, it was short for techno luxury. The watch that I had was a perpetual calendar guaranteed accurate to the year 2100. Inside were 4 individual modules, not just one quartz movement. The idea was that as technology improved, or when there was a desire or to change or add the complications, they didn't have to go back to the drawing board to design, a whole new watch or a whole new movement. High quality stainless steel, quality leather, sapphire crystal, unique design, meticulous dials, and lots of complications, not to mention designed in Italy and built in Germany. This wasn't just any old Timex. I hate myself for letting something else catch my eye. So what are some watches you still wish you had? Let us know in the comments. Let's talk about it. Maybe we can shed a tear for you too. And if you haven't entered the drawing for the GSG 100 Casio G-Shock and the Little Debbie's straight from the source, go to my last video. Go to my last video and learn how to enter. And you might want to watch all the way to the very end to figure that one out. Lastly, at this moment, we are only at 492 subscribers. I made a celebration video for the big 500, expecting we would have topped that by now. So don't make me give away a $250 G-Shock without even hitting the mark. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with somebody. Tell them, don't ask, instruct them to subscribe too. I promise, you'll sleep better at night. With that, I will close this one out and look forward to seeing you next week live when we give away the G-Shock and the Little Debbie cakes. I will give you a day and a time when we're going to do that as soon as I can. Until then, remember, watches are replaceable, even the ones we let get away, but time is not. So don't waste it.